Alright, now we're going to look at some evidence for how we know that materials are made of particles. Because up until recently, we couldn't actually look closely enough at a material to see those atoms or the particles that make it up. But these days, we actually do have microscopes that are powerful enough to look at the particles. And this picture shows us a zoomed in version of a metal. And you can see each of the little lumps in the picture represents a particle. So that's proof that we can see this metal is made up of particles. But we've also known that particles make up materials. We've known that for hundreds of years, actually. And one famous experiment that helped us prove matter is made up of particles was done about 200 years ago by a scientist who was looking at grains of pollen from a flower, pollen grain, that was floating on top of the water. So here is the pollen grain, and all the rest of this is water. And as the scientist looked through the microscope, he saw that the pollen grain would move in completely random zigzagging directions, like this. And he thought that maybe something in the water is pushing and bumping into that pollen grain and causing it to change directions and fly off in this zigzag pattern. And his hypothesis, or his explanation, was that maybe there are particles, small objects that make up the water, and these are flying around in random directions, bumping into the pollen grain, and they must be causing that pollen grain to move in this zigzag fashion. So that was some evidence to help us prove that all materials are made up of particles.